In Hollywood, beauty isn't just a gift, it's a war zone. And for some, the scars of battle are impossible to hide. We are counting down the stars who lost themselves chasing perfection, facing consequences no one saw coming. The story at number 1 will leave you speechless. Is the pressure of fame to blame? Drop a 1 if you agree or a 0 if you disagree. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a deep dive into fame's dark side. Joe Biden's transformation wasn't a shock to the system. It was the kind you only truly catch in the rearview mirror. There were no sudden reveals or dramatic makeovers, just a slow, carefully curated evolution played out under the unforgiving glare of American politics, where every wrinkle and receding hairline is a headline waiting to happen. In his younger years, Biden faced early, undeniable hair loss, a subtle vulnerability in a profession where projecting physical vigor often matters just as much as projecting confidence. Instead of pretending it wasn't happening, he quietly turned to hair restoration. The results weren't flashy or obvious, just effective. Over the years, his hairline stabilized, cementing the familiar look Americans recognize today. Then there's the smile. Early photos show uneven teeth and a more natural grin, but decades later, that polished, camera-ready beam has become one of his defining trademarks, friendly, reassuring, and crafted to be instantly approachable. The dental work and subtle cosmetic tweaks helped craft an image that felt trustworthy rather than flashy, a crucial distinction in the political arena. As he aged, the whispers inevitably started, just as they do for any major public figure. There were rumors of eyelid lifts and minor facial procedures, but nothing too extreme, nothing that looked frozen in time. The key difference is that Biden's appearance never became the story itself. His changes happened so seamlessly that most people never even realized they were taking place. Joe Biden's case highlights a different philosophy of aging, not about chasing youth, but about managing perception. In a world where image drives authority, his approach has been strategic, restrained, and quietly effective. It stands as proof that sometimes the most successful transformation is the one that never demands attention. From the very beginning of his solo career, Michael's face was unmistakable, expressive, youthful, and deeply familiar to the world. But following a nose injury that required surgery, subtle changes began to surface. Over time, his features continued to evolve, sparking a firestorm of relentless speculation. Every alteration didn't just make news, it became a global obsession, often overshadowing the music and genius that defined him. The chatter surrounding his appearance grew increasingly harsh, especially as his skin tone began to shift. Michael revealed he suffered from vitiligo, a condition that destroys skin pigment, yet his explanations rarely quieted the rumors. Instead, his face became a canvas for the public to project their own assumptions, misunderstandings, and cultural prejudices, turning a private medical battle into a relentless global debate. What made Michael's journey especially brutal wasn't the transformation itself, it was the suffocating lack of privacy surrounding it. Growing up under the microscope made self-acceptance nearly impossible without judgment. Every choice was dissected, every change magnified. The pressure to be perfect was relentless, never easing up for a second, even as his artistic genius continued to shatter boundaries and redefine music forever. When Michael Jackson left us in 2009, his legacy was already set in stone. His music and impact remain timeless. Yet his story stands as a powerful reminder that even the most extraordinary talent cannot shield a person from the crushing weight of relentless scrutiny. Have you ever wondered if fame brings true happiness, or is it just a heavy burden to bear? If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring and thought-provoking stories about the stars you love. Justin Jedlicka's story pushes the absolute limits of modern self-reinvention. While most people keep their cosmetic work a secret, Justin did the exact opposite. He made the transformation his entire identity. Growing up, he was obsessed with the flawless, idealistic beauty he saw on TV. To him, his appearance wasn't something to simply accept or subtly tweak. It was a project to be completely redesigned. The moment he turned 18, he didn't waste a second immediately undergoing his first procedure. That single decision kicked open a door he never planned on closing. Over the years, the number of procedures skyrocketed, reshaping nearly every inch of his physique. Unlike most in the spotlight, Justin never tried to hide his work. He owned it, framing surgery as a form of creative expression and describing his body as a living, breathing art project. The media wasted no time branding him the human Ken doll, a nickname that has followed him everywhere. The reaction was polarizing. Some saw him as a bold symbol of ultimate self-expression and radical autonomy. Others, however, found his journey unsettling, raising difficult questions about the fine line between personal freedom and self-erasure. Yet Justin remained unfazed by the critics. He insisted that true fulfillment comes from sculpting the version of yourself you envision rather than settling for the one nature gave you. Today, Justin Jedlicka represents a conversation that goes far beyond plastic surgery itself. His story forces us to question the boundaries of identity and our modern obsession with total body control. Whether viewed as ultimate empowerment or extreme excess, his transformation challenges every traditional notion of authenticity, proving that in an era of personalization, even the human form is no longer the final draft. Igor and Grichka Bogdanov were once celebrated as the golden boys of French television in the 1970s and 80s. Their sharp features, confident swagger, and striking twin symmetry made them cultural icons, admired as much for their brilliant minds as for their movie star looks. But slowly, the picture began to shift. At first, the changes were subtle, sparking mere curiosity rather than alarm. Yet over time, their faces underwent a transformation that became increasingly distinct and impossible to ignore. Their cheeks filled out, their jawlines became razor-sharp, and their expressions grew heavier and more rigid. Every public appearance sparked a fresh wave of debate, comparison, and endless speculation. Yet what fascinated people most wasn't just the look, it was the reaction. The brothers always sidestepped direct explanations, deflecting questions with humor, irony, or cryptic hints about futurism and personal evolution. They never confirmed nor denied the surgery, choosing ambiguity over defense. Remarkably, Igor and Grichka never seemed rattled by the public outcry. They continued to show up at major events, speaking with confidence and presenting themselves without a hint of apology. For them, conformity was irrelevant. Their appearance became part of a larger statement, a bold rejection of the conventional limits on identity, normality, and self-expression. When the Bogdanov twins passed away in 2021, just days apart, the public chatter finally quieted. Beyond the spectacle and curiosity, two men remained who had lived entirely on their own terms. Their legacy endures as a strange yet compelling reminder that the pursuit of true uniqueness can elevate you to legend status or isolate you in plain sight. John Rzeznik didn't build his legacy on flawless looks. He built it on raw authenticity. As the frontman and songwriter for the Goo Goo Dolls, his magnetic appeal came from vulnerability, not polish. Anthems like Iris and Slide hit home because they felt real, imperfect, honest, and reflective of the man behind the mic. But as the decades rolled on, Rzeznik's appearance began to shift naturally, and the public took notice. The face that was once boyish and sharp started to show the inevitable signs of time. Subtle lines, softer features, and a more weathered edge. Unlike so many of his peers, he never made a spectacle of fighting the change. There were no public announcements of cosmetic procedures, no staged reinventions. Instead, he seemed to quietly step back from the vanity altogether. It was a striking choice. In an industry that thrives on denial and punishes aging, Rzeznik appeared increasingly comfortable just letting time do its work. Interviews shifted focus away from his looks and toward his perspective on music, mental health, and the resilience needed to survive an industry that burns so many artists out. He poured his energy into songwriting and touring, connecting with fans through raw emotion rather than a curated image. The real appeal of John Rzeznik's story isn't about a dramatic transformation, it's about restraint. While others were busy chasing youth, he simply chose stability. His face may have changed, but the voice, the perspective, and the artistic core remained untouched. The fans didn't go anywhere because that connection was never broken to begin with. Today, Rzeznik stands for a quiet path that pop culture rarely celebrates. By aging without regret, his legacy proves that true longevity isn't about erasing time, it's about growing alongside it, letting the music rather than the mirror tell the story. Carol Bryan entered the public consciousness under circumstances no one would ever choose. Thrust into the unforgiving glare of the media through a profound tragedy, her life was suddenly dissected from every conceivable angle. Unlike celebrities or politicians who court the camera, Carol never sought the spotlight, it found her, and it never truly let go. In the years that followed, the public's focus began to shift, scrutinizing not just her words, but her appearance as well. Her physical changes were often noted and discussed without a shred of context or empathy. Matters that should have remained private became fodder for public gossip with assumptions made in an instant. In many ways, her appearance was unfairly treated as a statement rather than simply a reflection of time healing and personal choice. What makes Carol Bryan's story so significant in this discussion isn't the transformation itself, it's the judgment that followed. Society demands that grief look a specific way, repressed, frozen in time, a visible state of suffering. When a person attempts to move forward, adapting or defying those expectations often invites harsh criticism. Carol never cast herself as a symbol or a spokesperson. She was simply trying to continue living her life. Her experience underscores a broader, more troubling issue. When ordinary individuals are dragged into the court of public opinion, compassion is often the first casualty. Neven Ciganovich has never been one for subtlety. As a fashion stylist and TV personality, he built his entire brand on standing out using confidence and deliberate exaggeration as his tools. In an industry that often prefers silent conformity, Neven chose the exact opposite path, transforming himself into a statement that demanded attention. Over the years, his look has evolved right alongside his career. Cosmetic procedures became an integral part of that evolution, never hidden, never denied, but openly embraced. For Neven, going under the knife wasn't about chasing youth or fixing flaws. It was about control, self-expression, and owning his image in a world obsessed with labels. He treated his own face the same way a designer treats fabric, as a material to be deliberately shaped and styled. The public reaction was predictable and sharply divided. Some applauded his honesty and refusal to bow to conventional norms, while others questioned the sheer excess and the motives behind it. Yet Nevin never cast himself as a role model or a cautionary tale. He simply viewed himself as exercising personal choice, completely unbothered by anyone else's comfort level. What truly sets Nevin Ciganovich's story apart is his unwavering consistency. There was no sudden before and after, no dramatic unveiling. His transformation played out gradually in plain sight, anchored by an unshakable confidence. He never chased approval, nor did he hide from the inevitable critique. In a culture that demands explanations for difference, Nevin simply refused to offer one. His story isn't really about beauty standards or extremes. It is at its core about autonomy. Ultimately, these transformations remind us that chasing perfection often comes at a high price, losing the very face that made you unique. Is holding on to youth worth erasing your identity? I'd love to know your thoughts. Drop a 1 if you believe in aging naturally, or a 0 if you think plastic surgery is worth the risk. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking Hollywood truths. See you in the next one.